Hey brother! Star Wars, one of the most influential stories ever told. Since hitting theaters in 1977, it has been inspiring millions of people around the world with its epic story of good versus evil. Which makes sense, because the story was created by one of the most influential storytellers in the history of Hollywood, a man by the name of... not George Lucas. Wait, what? What is this blasphemy? Everyone knows George Lucas wrote Star Wars, right? And yes, that's true. But did you know that Star Wars, as we know it, would not exist without the help of a brilliant scholar by the name of Joseph Campbell? See, Campbell uncovered what many regard as the secret sauce of powerful storytelling. A sauce that would eventually become the basis for Star Wars and lead George Lucas to call Joseph Campbell my Yoda. His Yoda, not my Yoda. My Yoda is Yoda. But still, that's pretty high praise from the guy who invented Yoda. Although honestly, I'm not sure how much credit George Lucas deserves, because at different points in the process, he wanted to call Yoda Buffy, have him be blue. At one point, he was a garden gnome. And I kid you not, at one point, he wanted to have a monkey in a mask be the on-screen portrayal of Yoda. That is not a joke. Kidding me, are you, George Lucas? I think that was pretty spot on Yoda, right? Similar to Yoda, though, Joseph was a bit of a hermit. As an unemployed man during the Great Depression, he spent 5 years alone in a cabin in the woods studying all of the great stories from different cultures from all around the world. And this is when he made a discovery worthy of a Jedi Master. What he discovered was that across every single culture on Earth, even ones that had never interacted with each other, all of their most famous stories shared common plot elements. From the Odyssey to Beowulf to Native American legends, even through to The Hobbit, it was almost like we had a storytelling blueprint built into our DNA to help us make sense of the world. And Campbell called this universal story the monomyth, or the hero's journey, which he summed up in this way. A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. Boons, in case you don't know, are like favors or just good things, things that are good. Basically, someone from the common world enters a supernatural one where fantastic forces are encountered and a decisive victory is won, and they return home from their hero's journey of hero. And he published this concept in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Each hero, no matter what face they are, all go through a similar series of events on their hero's journey. There's like 17 outlined in the book, but 5 of the more common ones are: 1. The call to adventure, where the hero is asked to leave their home. 2. The refusal of the call, where they decide, man, they don't want to go. Spoiler, they do. 3. The crossing of the threshold, where they actually leave their home and enter the fantastic world of the unknown. 4. The road of trials, where they face many different challenges and often pick up a bunch of new allies. And finally, the ultimate boon, where they accomplish their ultimate goal. So that book is published in 1949. Fast forward a couple of decades, and George Lucas, hot off the success of his first film, American Graffiti, wants to create his next movie, a Flash Gordon-style space adventure. Now, much like Flash Gordon, he knew he wanted the movie to start with a scrolling text, but the Star Wars is like a 2-hour movie, and that only takes up like 30 seconds, and the rest of his script kind of stunk, so yeah, he had a problem. I mean, he was on the right track. He had cool worlds and cool ideas and cool characters, but he couldn't make them work until he discovered Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero of 1,000 Faces, which gave his amazing creativity focus. In other words, Lucas used the force of the monomyth to turn his Flash Gordon space tale into a grand adventure that used touchstones from stories that had resonated across millennia. And in effect, with the help of Joseph Campbell, George Lucas forged our modern myth. Like, let's just go back to those examples I gave earlier, because Star Wars follows the outline of the monomyth almost to a T, and here's just a few examples. Luke is called to adventure when he finds the holographic message from Leia in R2-D2. He refuses refuses the call when Obi-Wan asks him to come with him to save Leia, and he's like, no, I have to stay here and be a moisture farmer. I can't go and be an awesome Jedi. Get it together, Luke. He crosses the first threshold when he boards the Millennium Falcon and finally leaves Tatooine, and his road of trials is his lightsaber practice and infiltration of the Death Star, all leading up to his ultimate boon when he pilots an X-Wing and destroys the Death Star. But so does that mean Lucas ripped off Campbell? Absolutely not. I mean, Campbell himself was already just compiling all of the most common elements from stories across generations into his one book. In fact, Campbell considered Lucas his best student, and like Luke, Lucas learned from a mentor to achieve wondrous victory. But honestly, the hero's journey should probably sound pretty familiar to you already, because even if you aren't a Star Wars fan, I guarantee you've been exposed to it. So many of our modern stories follow this, from The Matrix to Moana to Harry Potter to The Hunger Games. Like, seriously, watch this. It's super cool how all of these movies follow the same touchstones but are all also way different. Katniss is called to adventure when she volunteers for Prim. She crosses the threshold when she leaves District 12. The road of trials is all the interviews, pre-games, training, and then of course the games themselves. And the ultimate boon is when she threatens to eat the berries and escapes the games. Harry Potter gets the call to adventure from Owl Post. His call is actually refused by Uncle Vernon, who does whatever he can to stop him from going to Hogwarts. But Harry eventually crosses the threshold anyway when he enters Diagon Alley through the Leaky Cauldron with Hagrid. His road of trials is all of his misadventures at Hogwarts. And of course his ultimate boon is when he's deep in the castle, face to face with Voldemort or a Basilisk or Dementors or Voldemort or Snape or Voldemort. And while the monomyth isn't the only way to tell successful stories, I think it's pretty obvious that when executed properly, it just taps into something like deep and magical that we love seeing over and over. But here's the most important thing. The hero's journey isn't just for movies. It's a guide to life itself for all of us. As Joseph Campbell himself put it, what I think is that a good life is one hero's journey after another. Over and over again, you are called to the realm of adventure. You are called to new horizons. Each time there is the same problem. Do I dare? There's always a possibility of a fiasco, but there's also a possibility of bliss. So follow your bliss, hero, and may the force be with you. May the odds be ever in your favor. And it's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Also, before we go, I want to give a quick shout out to a one T. Michael Martin, author of Mr. Fahrenheit and the End Games. He approached me with the idea for this video a couple of months ago and was kind enough to do a large part of the script writing for me. Could not have done it without him. He also has his own personal channel right here on YouTube. I highly recommend you go check it out. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the Hero of a Thousand Faces, I'll leave a link to it on Amazon down below so you can check it out for yourself. But Ben, that's all I've got for you today, man. My question for you and everyone else is, what is another story you have read that follows the outline of the monomyth? Let me know in the towel section down below.
These socks are amazing!
Guys, thanks for watching. As always, please remember to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos from us. If you want to see some videos about other common movie tropes, you can check out this one right here where we talk about the Wilhelm scream, or this one right here where we discuss the Cloud Cuckoo Lander. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But Ben, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you in another life, brother.